up, Internet? Well, after years and years of waiting, the rematch you've been clamoring for is here. We are one day away. Hashtag release the Snyder Cut has turned into hashtag restore the Snyder Cut. And Mario, I'm psyched. So psyched for this.
I'm super excited, I gotta say. I don't seem excited, but I'm extremely excited.
You are extremely. You summed it up the other day when you're like, I have endgame energy.
Yeah.
Endgame
There
energy.
hasn't been anything this big in a while. And
No.
it's crazy because you're going to watch it at home for free. Well, not for free, but for your subscription.
Right.
And it's just huge. I think it feels like this is what everyone is talking about right now as far as the movie world.
It is. Yeah, it's definitely in the zeitgeist, which is surprising because it's just like, there was a long journey to get to this point.
Right.
There's a lot of things that happened to get to this point where we have this rematch where basically Zack Snyder's going to get to show what he showed before, which we did not see in what people are called the Justice League.
Justice League.
Right? The Justice League, the Whedon cut. And so let's start talking about that. Or let's talk about what happened in the beginning.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay, for people that are not familiar with the history, right?
Right, yeah.
So Zack Snyder was chosen to be the WB, top guy,
right?
To take all the WB properties, the comic properties, and create this, MCU type creation, right?
Right, and this was after Christopher Nolan had a huge success with the Dark Knight trilogy, and then turned down the option to be the chosen one, and then that's when they plucked Zack Snyder.
They gave it to Zack, who had some comic book chops, and so he's Man of Steel, first one, right? Yeah. I liked it. I know people have their problems with it, and I understand that, but I dug it. I thought it was a good take.
I didn't have any problems with it. I
didn't have any problems with it either.
Yeah.
But so a lot of people seem
did.
to not. Yeah,
and I was honestly surprised.
Yeah,
I was honestly surprised because I had a lot of problems with Bryan Singer's Superman.
Right. It had issues.
But I didn't have any problems with this one.
Right. I think the part that I think I was a little fuzzy on was all the Krypton stuff at the beginning, but after that, I was sold. I liked it. It was great. Didn't mind that he killed Zod. Sure, I'd kill him too. I mean, that's what happens.
No,
that's what happens when you step to Superman.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just like, and look, it had heart. It's just like when Kevin, there were so many scenes with Kevin Costner, trying to teach Clark his humanity, the humanity we all know.
Right.
What made him the big blue Boy Scout came from this Kansas farmer.
Yeah.
So it's just like, as he, he had those moments just like, can I just be your son? And it's like, you'll always be my son. He cried, and then he had to watch him die. There was a lot of heart in this. Mm-hmm. So that it's just like, and then when Superman had to basically snap Zod's neck, he didn't want to do that. There was he let out a scream. It's just like, to me, it was just like, it was the most grounded you basically can get from a god among men. So I didn't have any problems with, but there were problems with it.
Yeah.
So fast forward a little bit. We get to Batman v Superman, right? The dawn of justice, which was basically if this would have been a trilogy as originally planned, it would have been Batman versus Superman, Justice League 1 and Justice League 2.
What are your like, give me your 10-second review of Batman versus Superman. What's your take?
Too much crammed in and too many things not left as surprises.
Yeah.
Which I enjoyed it. But there was a lot, yeah. Sorry, I already went over my 10-second elevator pitch.
It's complicated to review that movie.
It is. It very is because we're going to get into this a little bit because you brought this up. I don't think they had enough time to tell the story effectively, and then the ultimate cut was actually better.
The ultimate cut was definitely better, and
right.
you see how cutting 30 minutes out of a movie really affects it.
Absolutely.
That's one thing that makes me excited about Justice League, Justice League 2, we're getting a 4-hour movie. It's like, sure, I had a 4-hour movie in mind. I'm going to make that. Let me see it. You know?
Oh, man. Yeah, I'm all for it.
But anyway, as far as Batman versus Superman, I kind of was fuzzy on it at first when I heard the title. The title to me sounded...
it was a little jarbled. They could have cut that.
A two-sentence title is a bit much.
Yeah, when they easily could have went B versus S and had both logos, which are basically... So not everybody knows this. This is like everyone knows the Yankees. Everybody knows the Superman logo. Yeah. Everybody knows the Batman logo.
Or hear me out. Call it Man of Steel 2.
Yeah, because people are clamoring for a Man of Steel 2 now, ironically, even though that technically was Man of Steel 2.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like they took Man of Steel 2 and sort of like Frankensteined it into Batman versus Superman. That should have been Man of Steel 2. You introduce Batman in that, and then you've got Justice League from there. I don't know. The whole Batman versus Superman Dawn of Justice 2-sentence title, when I heard that, I was like, what? Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know about that. That sounds like a Studio Notes kind of title.
Yeah, and maybe there was some Studio Notes on there. And there's definitely some problems with the Studio Notes is just because that was the introduction to Wonder Woman.
Right.
To me, it's just like they gave that away in the trailer and in the preview. And I don't think they needed to, because if you watched in the story, they never really committed to it. And it's just like when they had that, basically when Batman was about to eat it, she showed up and she had that epic music. That would have been a nice pop there. Like, I would rather have speculated, is that Wonder Woman? That might be Wonder Woman. Did they cast her as Wonder? And I know they try to get ahead with it and show you who they're going to casting. That could have been somewhat of a surprise. They could have played a little bit more coy with it. And I think it would have enjoyed it in the movie theater anymore, because you're just like, man, I think that really is her. But be that as it may, obviously Wonder Woman, Gal Gadot is great as Wonder Woman, so they just went with it.
Right.
So, and I don't know, did you feel spoiled by the trailer? Because everyone just assumed Lex Luthor was going to be the heel, and he was, but there was another heel that was in there.
Who was the other heel?
I can't think of his name right now. It's not, I want to say Abomination, but it's not.
Wait. Yeah, that was supposed to be Doomsday?
Doomsday.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was Doomsday. So the other heel being Doomsday. It was just like, that is a huge drop that they could have definitely, because it was CGI, so they could have kept that one completely under wraps.
It's crazy how, Warner Brothers or whoever would think this is like two of the hugest IPs ever. The trailer doesn't need to show us a whole lot. You can save it. We'll go. It could be Henry Cavill and Ben Affleck talking to the screen, Alfred Hitchcock style, and they said, we're going to fight. Yeah. And that's it, They had a great Comic-Con trailer, which it could have been the only trailer they ever would have had, would have been fine, with dusting off the bat signal and turning it on, and then you see Superman flying there, and then that could have been it. I was at that point I was already in, but just like, oh yeah, and we're gonna have Wonder Woman in there, and we're gonna have Doomsday, which basically is the heel that killed Superman in the comics. Right.
And right there, it's just like, oh, wait a minute. So then they're introducing this one. So is Superman going to die in this one? So a lot of it was already kind of set up. And we know we don't want to have we want our imaginations to go, but we don't want the story to already be told before we hear the story.
Right.
And I think that hurt it.
Yeah.
So, fast forward, like I said, it had some redemption, because at least it was still a good film.
Watch the Ultimate Cut. It's great.
When you watch the Ultimate Cut, it made it a good film.
Yeah.
But then that brings us to, obviously, and I don't want to get too much into it. I don't want to turn this into, Joss Whedon hate. He already has enough heat on him that's going, he doesn't need it from us to bring that up. But,
yeah.
He took over because, Zack Snyder dealt with the personal tragedy, with his, his daughter taking her life. And obviously that's horrible. The family had to pull away. Even though he loved his film, obviously he loved your family more. And then that's when stuff started getting a little wonky.
Yeah, so I guess the reaction to Batman versus Superman Dawn of Justice 2-sentence title was pretty soft.
Yeah.
It didn't do all that great.
No.
And I think the folks, the check writers were like, hey, you should change this put some jokes in it or whatever.
Yeah, and obviously because they're like, wait, you did Avengers and that did well, so why don't you just do that? But Zack Snyder already set up a different style of universe. So it's just like, could have Joss Whedon have done better if he shot it himself from the beginning? Probably,
Yeah.
He could have easily done, but he was playing with the cards that he had, right? Because obviously he's I don't know how he is as a human being, but obviously as somebody who delves out geek content, he knows what he's doing.
Right, and it's kind of like somebody studio had just Googled superhero team up films, and was like, who directed that one?
Yeah, it was like,
okay, get him.
That's perfect, and it's just like so. Man, but there's so much more that goes into it that the story behind the scenes is worse because obviously there was a lot of stuff that happened on set, with Ray Fisher and as Cyborg, and there was a lot of stuff that was cut out, and it already, fast forward, you termed it, I remember you telling me at the time you called it a Franken film. I think you should actually, maybe you should copyright that.
Copyright.
Yeah, I've never heard that one, but it's just like that was a Franken film, and I was like. At the first, but it's just like yeah, his lip did kind of look weird. It did make Henry Cavill look like Frankenstein, but it was just like you can tell everything was kind of pieced together.
Right.
So, anyway, that's the history of it. I don't want to, we probably already gave it too much history, too much of a history lesson, but let's keep it to our excitement, right? Because the rematch is here.
The rematch is back.
The rematch is here after people bought banners and Times Square ads and just clamoring for it. It's here.
That's part of what makes this so interesting is that the internet demanded it.
It did.
And people, there was a campaign, all kinds of money went into a campaign to get this released. And it was rumored to not even be real.
Right.
And then it absolutely is, and now it's coming out. They spent an additional, movie budget to finish it.
They did.
Yeah.
It's just like, and look, Zack Snyder is just like if he was running an angle, he did it well, right?
Yeah.
He would leak out a picture here. He showed the film. In the stock, where he showed it there. That's just like this did happen. He said he did take a copy of it home, but I mean, this was years in the making. And now the question is, would this have happened if it wasn't for, there was already a streaming wars in effect, right? You called it the content wars. Another thing that you should get credit for terming it. Content wars turned into streaming wars. COVID fast forwarded that. Would this have happened if it wasn't for that? If it wasn't for the streaming wars?
I don't think so.
I don't think it's so either. I don't think it would have got the theatrical release.
Like I said, just how it exists as a piece of content, a 4-hour 4x3 movie.
Right.
Okay. So like that is not going to exist if this was still, a movie theater dominated market. Because of streaming, because you can watch a 4-hour movie at home, this exists.
Right.
And HBO Max, they jumped into the content wars, the streaming wars, and they needed stuff. They needed content.
They did.
They needed talent.
Yeah, and look, they have this huge IP like Marvel, MCU. Everybody knows MCU now.
And here's this movie that's 75% finished.
Yeah.
Why don't we just finish it?
Yeah. Why don't and they did, and the rumored budget is anywhere from 30 million to another 100 million.
Right.
Of just like, and that's not, and look, there was already such a groundswell of this, like the organic marketing on this was through the roof. It was already through the roof. Like everybody already knew
you didn't need it. People asked for it.
Yeah.
The audience was demanding it. It wasn't, you didn't have to push it out to them and try and get them to see it.
Yeah. There was and then it just took a few of the stars that like, look, I mean, they poured their heart and souls into these characters, and not all of them, Ben Affleck had a bat plan to go forward to that kind of got derailed by this, where Wonder Woman and Aquaman, they got their standalone films and they did well. It's like, okay, look, these characters are strong. They all just dropped the hashtag release the Snyder Cut out there.
Yeah.
What a great marketing campaign.
Sure.
Every one of you just dropped that out, and it's just like that made people like, whoa. There's obviously where there's smoke, there's fire. There's more people that went into it, and then Jason Momoa went even further, and just like I saw the footage, it's just like, and it's great.
Yeah.
And it's just like he's awesome. Obviously he has that excitement that he brings to all his roles, and in real life, right? That's him. That's he's the character. So that just really brought so much steam to this that it's just like, you're right. Like it was a no-brainer for them to do this, because it's just like, we just launched this new HBO Cinemax, glommed it together to HBO Max. We're going to compete with the streaming, and let's start putting our intellectual property on there.
Yeah. And they realized, don't we own Superman and Batman?
And Batman. Yeah.
Oh, we should do something with that.
Right. Yeah. And exactly. It's just like, there's no reason not to. And
right.
So I think this is, and here's the biggest advantage. And we talked about this a little bit earlier. Now he gets to tell the entirety of his story.
Yeah.
And if it takes 4 hours, people are going to be okay with 4 hours, because it's kind of like people are like, okay, I'm going to watch, 4 30 30-minute shows, but I'm not going to sit for 1 2-hour movie.
Right.
It's just like, okay, I'm not going to go to the movies to watch this 4-hour story, but I'll watch it at home in 4 1-hour chunks, or I'll end up probably just sitting there and binging it because everybody binges anyway.
You binge anyway. You're like, I only want to watch one show, but you end up watching the whole season.
So I know there was some debate. It's just like, are we going to release it as like a series and drop one a week? And then he ended up, and I think there were some issues with SAG, and they're like, okay, look, we're just going to drop it as a 4-hour movie, but we're going to break it into chapters. So there's 6 chapters.
So you can pause it.
So you can pause it, and it's just like, there you go. Now you got basically a 6-episode Justice League show, right? Which is going to be cinematic, and which we found out from WandaVision that, especially that last 2 hours, that you can have cinematic television.
Yeah.
Right? And just like, would we want to see this in theaters? Absolutely. You and I will probably go to IMAX and see it when we get the chance.
If it shows, I'm probably going to go.
Yeah. It's just like, I'll not only watch it the night it comes out on HBO Max, but I'll go watch it again when it drops in IMAX.
Because it's being released in an IMAX format.
It is.
That's why it's going to be a square. I think people, when they see that, they might be weirded out by like, why is this a square movie? But that's the IMAX aspect ratio. So eventually, it would be pretty dope to watch it on an IMAX screen.
Yeah, no. So I'm super pumped for it. So let's go through like one by one, since this is a rematch. Like, who needs the redemptions that come from rematches, right? We'll start with Batman, Batflick. Does he need the redemption? Yes, I think he does, because I think he did a great job as Batman. And people were so scared when he got booked as Batman that it was us like, he's going to mess this up. And he didn't. No, he didn't. He did a great job as Batman because he's a great actor.
I think he was a great Batman. I think he was I think one thing that sort of like cut him off a little bit was that I don't think he was introduced properly in Batman vs. Superman.
No.
I thought that was a strange introduction. They should have probably had less of him in that movie and sort of just introduce him as Batman, because it assumes, the thing about Batman vs. Superman just assumes that we already know who Batman is and we know the history. Right. So we just jump in. But we're jumping into a new guy as Batman. So it doesn't quite, it doesn't translate that easily from Christian Bale to Ben Affleck.
Right, yeah. And we're coming off, he was coming hot off the heels of a very successful Batman, which made it a little bit tougher, because it's
the best Batman thus far.
Yeah.
And you got to cop that.
Yeah. It's just like, and so how do you do that? And just like, so I think he needs a little bit of a redemption tour, right? And now, we're getting into cinematic universes, whether it's Marvel, DC, and maybe even Star Wars. Could be debated that they're going to have these multiverse things. So it's just like, now we know there could be multiple Batman. Robert Patrick's filming his Batman movie. Michael Keaton's booked to be in a Batman film. So it's like, you can have these multiple Batman. So I think he needs this rematch just to prove what we already know. Yeah. I think he's going to do a great job.
Yeah, I think he needs another shot to introduce himself as Batman and say, he was a good Batman.
Yeah, he was. He got Jack Diesel for it, and I know Sad Fleck showed maybe he thought he wasn't a bad flick because it was also a great meme, but this is going to be a great rematch for him. How about Wonder Woman? Last week I would have, not last week, in November, I would have said, no, she doesn't need this rematch. Yeah. Then I saw Wonder Woman 84, which was very frothy, light.
I completely forgot that film existed.
Yeah. And that's not a good thing, right? Because the first Wonder Woman was great, and this movie was just there. And it's just like, she's, and this is tough, because it's just like, she is a great Wonder Woman. It's through no fault of her own that, it was really great. But now we got used to the Wonder Woman that we were kind of introduced to in Batman versus Superman and the first Wonder Woman, that she was a badass. And I'm not saying she wasn't a badass in Wonder Woman 84, but they definitely try to get that 80s camp in there, and that made it feel less of a badass. Because then all it took was, again, Zack Snyder, you're an angler, you run angles, but you're not fooling me. They released a picture of Wonder Woman with warlords holding a severed head. There's just like, oh, that's Wonder Woman? Mm-hmm. So it's just like, yeah, I think she needs this rematch too. Yeah. You agree?
I agree. Yeah. Like I said, I completely forgotten Wonder Woman 84 existed. Yeah. And
On HBO Max, the very first day and date for HBO Max, right? Was it? Yeah, I think that was the first one on Christmas. Merry Christmas. You're getting Wonder Woman at home. All right, next up, Aquaman. Does Aquaman need this rematch? No, but he's great. So
Aquaman is the most over of all the Justice League right now.
He is, man. It's just like he is so... Because again, I think he has that same thing that DJ Dwayne Johnson, The Rock has. It's just like, that dude is like that in real life. Yeah. Like, he's crazy. It's just like... It pretty much sums it up as that meme with Henry Cavill standing there proper and Jason Momoa behind him about to tackle him. It's just like, no, he does not need this rematch, but damn, I'm glad he's invited to it.
Right.
Yeah. So I enjoyed the first Aquaman. And I think he has I guess I should preface this with, he had a lot of stuff cut out. He was one of the best parts of the Justice League, and I think there's more to add to it. So
I'm curious to see,
need it, but it's going to be nice.
I'm curious to see what Zack was intending to do with Aquaman, because I think because of the Justice League cut, that sort of took Aquaman in the more comedy direction.
It did.
So I'm just curious to see what Zack had in mind.
Which I mean, look, Aquaman. Yeah, he was. Dark. It is a dark Aquaman, right? And it's just like, there was a William Dafoe character that was completely cut out of the Justice League,
right?
So I'm curious how that's gonna play out. So he's gonna benefit from this rematch, but he doesn't need it. I think he's already over. So all right, who do we got next that we want to talk about? The Flash. Does the Flash need this rematch?
Yes.
Yes, I think kinda he does, just because he was the one chosen to add all the comedy to that last one in Justice League, and he was basically looking to launch. He didn't get the standalone movie, and now he's gonna basically, after this, he's gonna get the standalone movie that's gonna launch, the multiverse in DC. So he needs this, and the fact that it's gonna keep him in the limelight. He is one of the main super friends. He needs to be strong. He needs to be seen strong. He has a backstory that has some heart with his dad, with Iris West that's coming out, that he has a love interest in there that they didn't do. So yeah, I think he needs this too.
Yeah. Ezra Miller, and not only in the film world, he needs a little bit of a rematch in, I guess, in social media world. Didn't he choke somebody on Twitter or something?
Yeah, that's what I heard.
Which I don't, we don't need to get deep into that, but it was, he had that.
Yeah, and nothing came of it, luckily for him, I guess. But I was just like, I don't know the story, so I don't want to say good for him or bad on him, because I don't know, what exactly happened. But he definitely didn't need that, but he needs this for sure. The Scarlet Speedster is super important. He was in the
again. I wonder if he's gonna have a more serious take.
Yeah, I think so, because he showed up on the DC mashup that they had with the multiverse when they start touching on it. He did show up on there, but again, that was more of a comedy wink wink.
Did Ezra Miller do comedy films before Justice League? Because all I ever saw him in was that one movie where he's a serial killer.
Oh,
he plays like I forgot what it was called, but anyway, he kills a bunch of people. So it was surprising when I saw him doing comedy. I was like, oh, I didn't realize this guy was a comedy actor.
I didn't know that either. So I don't know. It's just apparently if he chokes somebody, he doesn't have that much of a sense of humor. So, yeah, I don't know. But let's hit the one that needs this rematch the most, who's been the most vocal on social media, is Cyborg, right? Just like, Ray Fisher needs this because apparently there's a lot of behind-the-scenes drama that basically got a lot of his stuff cut. Yeah. And then he just put the...
allegedly, he was like the heart of the movie. He was sort of the lead.
Yeah, and just a little bit that Zack Snyder released, it does seem like there's some credence to this.
Which
but man, he's psyched for this. It
makes perfect sense to me that he would be the central focus of the movie, because he needs the most introduction.
Yeah,
there's never been a Cyborg film.
No,
everybody knows who Batman and Superman are just by name, but you say Cyborg, no one knows that. So we need a film that introduces.
Teen Titans fan, we know that, right? We know Cyborg because he loves burritos. But yeah, this is going to be a different Cyborg.
But yeah, he needs to be introduced.
Yeah, this was his. You're absolutely right. This was his introduction into the cinematic world.
Right.
And he didn't have that, and he barely got that in Justice League, right? And they were just like, go out there, say booyah, and then you're good to go. But there's like one of the very first scenes or stills that was released before all this happened, when Zack Snyder was filming it originally, was the football game, right? Of just like Gotham versus Metropolis in that. And just like we know he had, he was a football player. So, Victor Stone and his dad, there was something to that. So it was just like, it was a very noticeable cuts. Like we always notice when there's stuff in the trailer, that doesn't make it into the film. But that was like, wow, that was one of their very first, this is happening. They filmed this and then they didn't show it.
Yeah.
Right. So he needs this the most. And if you watch any of his stuff, if you follow him on Twitter or Instagram, he is psyched. He is so psyched. And I feel bad because they flash back. He was trying to be the company man. He was trying to do the right thing. Even at Comic-Con when he was like, yeah, Joss Whedon was the right man for the job. And you can tell nobody said anything, that they knew, by them not saying anything, there was something, behind this story. Mm-hmm. So now he's front and center. Let him know. And I think if he's going to be the heart of the film, he should be the one front and center also in public.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, I think he's going to benefit the most, or Cyborg as a character is going to benefit the most from this cut. But I got to say, I think who needs this the most is Superman.
Agreed.
Okay, the mustache.
Yeah.
The mustache, the Watergate mustache, what is it? Mustache Gate.
Mustache Gate, yeah.
Whatever. What an insane thing to happen on a film. To me, it's crazy.
Oh, it sucked.
Yeah. Okay, so he was filming Mission Impossible. He came back for the Joss Whedon reshoots. He's filming Mission Impossible. He has a mustache. They ask if he can shave the mustache. They say, no, you're contractually obliged to have a mustache in Mission Impossible. It's like, I can't shave it, guys. Yeah. What are we going to do? We'll just take it out in post.
Oof.
And then they start. The first frame of the film is Superman, super brightly lit. And the first thing you notice is that lip.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It jumped right. Like, that was the very first thing that you saw.
Yeah.
That was your introduction into the Justice League.
Yeah.
Right? That it's just like Superman got punched in the mouth. Because it's like his lip
Superman got Botox?
Yeah. Because his lip is swollen. Yeah. So, yeah. And
it made him look strange for the whole movie. It was like an uncanny valley kind of thing where he might have been completely digital. At that point, just do completely digital Henry Cavill. I'm sure it was possible.
Yeah. Yeah, you couldn't take your eyes off of it, right? It was very Austin Powers. You wanted to poke it with a stick.
Mm-hmm. And that's the last time we saw Superman, right?
Yeah.
He had that cameo in Shazam, but it wasn't really him.
No, it wasn't. No.
So that's the last time we saw Superman. I think more than anything, Superman needs this rematch.
Yeah. And it's just like, look, I know there's rumors of multiverse Superman and other Superman, but people are clamoring for that Man of Steel too. Henry Cavill, people, despite, whatever critical backlash that he had for some of the other films that he was in, nobody had a problem with his performance. He is Superman. So I think he will benefit from this. And look, I think a lot of his stuff got cut out as well, right? It's just like, or modified, right? One of the biggest ones being, the black suit and the resurrection. There was a big backstory in the death of Superman, when he died in the comics, and then they had 4 different Supermen, and then it came back, and then you found out, he can't really die. He was more of in a very, very deep coma. And then the way that he was resurrected in this, I don't know. I don't want to say it was not well received, because it could very well possibly be how they resurrect him in this as well.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's just like, he's still Superman. It just could have been like, oh, I just needed some sun, dog. Just needed to lay out for a little bit, and then I'm fine, right? It's just like he didn't know if he was going to be permanently gone. So he will benefit from this, I think. And just like, I think people are super psyched, because if you notice, one of the first teasers that Zack Snyder released after was Superman in the black suit.
Right.
Because I think, look, it's just like people want, it's 2021. They want a little bit of a different edge for Superman, and I think Zack Snyder was trying to accomplish that in Man of Steel. So it's just like, maybe the black suit is what's needed.
Ever since Zack signed on to do Superman, people were waiting for the black suit.
Yeah.
If anybody was going to do it, it was going to be him.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm psyched for it. So, but let's talk a little bit about, you want to talk about the leak?
Well, for the folks that didn't know what happened, it got leaked on HBO Max.
Yep.
If you clicked on Tom and Jerry, which I'm sure not many people did. If you watched,
I clicked on. I'm a Tom and Jerry guy.
If you clicked on Tom and Jerry, it started playing the Snyder Cut, so some folks got to see it early.
Yeah.
as soon as I saw that pop up on Twitter or whatever, I was clicking HBO Max, refreshing Tom and Jerry's. Like, come on, just let me have it.
Well, yeah, that's a different leak though, right? Because
Yeah.
it's just like will be seen on the media that it's prepared for. It just got released early.
Yeah.
So I don't know. You would have saw it at least the way it's intended, just not when it was intended.
Right.
Not the media. So, but you brought up something interesting. It's just like, was this is somebody's trying to sabotage this again?
I don't know. It was a theory that someone proposed, and it could be. I don't know. I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I feel like Warner Brothers and this film in general have a lot of heat.
Yeah.
If you read that Vanity Fair article that they put out about Zack Snyder and this whole story, Warner Brothers just wanted to put out like the rough cut, the cut that he had on his computer. They didn't want him to finish it just like the rough cut. What you have, we just want to release that. And Zack was like, no, we're not putting that out because then you guys get to say that, oh, it was not that great anyway,
Right.
So he was like, he refused. So yeah, then whatever happened. They needed content. They said, well, do you want to finish it? So yeah. And he took like no salary, right?
Right, yeah.
No money to do it. He's just finishing the film the way he intended to. And in a way, this is like the ultimate director's cut, okay?
It is.
There's no stakes. There's nobody coming in saying, hey, cut this down to 2 hours. There's nobody telling you to change anything because people just want to see your exact vision, and it's going to drop.
That's a good point.
In their homes.
Yeah.
Okay? No one has to go buy a ticket. No one's got to do anything but hit play. So
no studio, probably a lot less studio notes, right?
This is something that has come of the era we live in. This is a pure director's cut. No one's going to change anything.
Yeah.
This is everything is exactly as the way he intended it to be.
Yeah. And look, it's just like, that's what makes me think that it wouldn't be sabotage, even though, obviously there's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes, obviously with Ray Fisher calling everybody out, for their bullshit, as he should, right? Mm-hmm. It's just like, just because it was always weird to me in Hollywood that it's just like, basically you're living a dream job and a dream life, and some people find a way to indulge and manage to take something away from something that brings so much happiness to people. So I think he should call them out, right?
Yeah.
But obviously there's going to be repercussions when you call that out, and there might be people behind the scenes that do that.
Yeah. Hey, I mean, it's a business. Movies cost $200 million to make.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of people that have opinions and a lot of people that have say. Some movies get changed. Sometimes it's a positive thing, though.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's good for the movie that you're limited a little bit.
Right.
You've got to get creative. But
right, yeah, you have the Jaws effect, right? It's just like sharks not working.
But now, like I said, it was like that Ed Wood thing. Go shoot whatever baloney you want, and and just that's it. And we're gonna put it on the streaming channel, and no one has to buy a ticket. And Zack is taking it as far as he can. It's like, well, it's gonna be 4x3,
Yeah,
doing 4x3. Sure, whatever.
At this point, right? Yeah, they're
like,
just letting.
Well, I want to do it in black and white, and it's like, well. You can release the black and white cut later. It's like, okay. It's like whatever. They give him complete autonomy.
Yeah.
So I'm interested to see how that experiment works out. A director with complete freedom to do whatever, a $300 million superhero epic.
Wow.
With no studio notes.
Yeah. It is going to be amazing to see. And look, and I think I think the audience is ready for it because we're all basically primed on, look, there's, the Game of Thrones, even if you want to go back to, Sopranos, which was very cinematic, but now everybody is used to basically these 10, 12-hour drawn out stories that are cinematic that they'll just sit there and watch in a row. So it used to be that books were better than films, and the reason they were because the books give you the advantage of inner dialogue. You can get deeper with characters and you get more invested because you learn more about them and you didn't have to rush through them. I'm not saying that works for everything, but it's just like in an ensemble movie like this that should be a huge advantage, that now you have hours to tell each person is going to get their story. Right? That it's not going to get crammed in because there's only so much you can do. And like you said, there's some there's some films you're like, oh, this person, the editor was nervous, was scared of the director because like you probably could have cut this out.
Right.
So it doesn't always work, but this one can really, really work. And we're coming hot off the heels of WandaVision, right?
Right.
Just like hot off the heels that are just like we basically got a cinematic event.
It's we're to the point now where the cinema stuff, things that would be a cinema event, are moving to TV or streaming. Is streaming TV? I don't know.
I don't know, man.
Where do you classify it? I don't know.
I think you just say TV, kind of like in wrestling when you still call it a pay-per-view, but I guess you're paying for the app versus paying for the event, so you're still kind of paying for it. You're not watching this on a TV unless you're streaming it. It's just like, I don't know. I think a show works, right? A show still works because it doesn't care where you're doing it. But again, when it's so big, this is like an event. A show event, but
it's
you're
definitely
right. It's not TV, and it's just like, are we going to get to that point where, just people used to go to, actors and actresses would go to film, because TV didn't have the meat, and now it's sometimes the opposite, right? Now they'll go to the small screen and the streaming service because that's where a lot of the meat is. You get a lot of bite that they didn't get before.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you'd call it TV or smaller. Maybe, how do you judge it by the size of the screen? I don't know, but it's just like, well, you watch it on your phone versus iPad versus computer versus TV. I don't know. It's just like, it's going to be interesting. But what are your final predictions? Is there anything that you want to cover that we left out? I don't want to go over too much into surprises because I don't want to get my own hopes up or anyone else's hopes up.
After WandaVision.
Yeah, I don't want to get anyone hopes up. Yeah, it's just like, is there going to be some Green Lantern stuff? Yeah, probably. They're basically the Martian Manhunter theory. Is he going to be there? It's just like, and then the actors coming out and saying, yeah, no, it's just like, that would have been a cool surprise to not do that, but do they feel like they need to do that? But should we do final predictions, or what do you want to, in wrestling terms, who should go over in this, right? Do we want Zack Snyder to go over, right? I think
biggest Zack Snyder. Zack Snyder should go over for this. I think, his career got kind of like sidetracked because of this, he's got stuff coming out, but I feel like he needs a redemption.
He does.
Just now. Not that he's a great director, but he just needs a redemption for this because the Justice League cut was just pretty much universally panned.
Yeah.
And, it was bad.
Yeah.
We could say that, okay?
We can.
It was bad. It was bad. Like, it was just bad. And so I think that he needs that. And I think with this coming out and then the zombie movie on Netflix coming out, Army of the Dead.
Army of the Dead, yep.
I mean, I think this year is going to be huge for him. So yeah,
and rightfully so. Like, you're a director. How would you feel if, like, you shot some and something happened and you got away from it, and then you go back and somebody took what you shot and what your idea and then tried to make it into a film
and basically tossed it, right?
Yeah.
And just did it over. And I would say that's a thing that happens, right? That happens. But it was Zack's name was on it as the director.
Yeah, and
that's the part.
Hard. Yeah, that's hard, right? He's like, he didn't.
That's what I'm saying. He needs a redemption because of that. Because even though 75% of the film was reshot, his name was on it as director.
Yeah, that's got to be hard. For a personal tragedy, this could be the rematch that's needed for the redemption story. And a great story behind the story is just because obviously, his daughter took her own life, and just this event alone, this event film, raised so much money for their cause, right? For that suicide awareness. Like, he was giving people, like, you could buy the associate producer shirt, right? Because it's just like you had a say in making this come back. Like, he is acknowledging the fans.
Yeah.
Right? He is definitely like, we could not be here without you. And this is a win-win for everybody.
I think so.
I think Zack goes over, the fans go over because they get what everybody wanted, It was the Justice League to be amazing. WB gets the win because it's just like, if they're getting enough steam, they're going to get more subscribers. Disney's...
That's the end game.
Yeah, that is, right? That's the end game energy, too. Because, look, Disney Plus subscribers number is up, and it's going up fast.
Yeah.
Like, they're creeping up fast, and they're not going to take their foot off the brakes either. It's all gas, no brakes. They're going all in. So if this succeeds, now you're like, oh, maybe we should do that Batman show on here with Ben Affleck. And just
by the way, there's another cut of Suicide Squad just sitting in a closet.
There is. What are the odds of that?
You want to put that out?
And it's going to happen, right? Release the air cut. If this is a success,
if this gets over, we're getting Suicide Squad, sure.
Because that's another show altogether on just like the studio notes, how they butchered that. It's just like, hey, can you make this look more like Guardians of the Galaxy? It's just like, no, we can't. It's like, you sure? Because there's a lot of good songs we can insert in here for no apparent reason. So it's just like, that one, to me, I didn't feel it as much as a lot of people felt it, just because, and I think I'm just a mark. I'm just a mark for the DC. So I wanted it to succeed. So I think I willed myself into like, I still enjoyed myself, but I saw what everybody was saying, and then Suicide Squad happened, and then I'm like, oh no, this is what they felt? Because then I felt it, and I was just like, this, because that had so much potential, right? Yeah. And obviously, James Gunn is showing how much potential, because it's just like, he didn't even release a trailer. He just some BTS, and you're like, oh my God, that looks incredible. So
I cannot wait for that one.
Yeah.
That's going to be great.
And they could, if they time that just right, where just like, because the Peacemaker, they have the John Cena show that's going to be on HBO Max as well. Release the Ire cut, restore the Ire universe.
Why not get people talking about that before you release the new Suicide Squad?
Yeah. Well,
it's free.
Yes.
It's free. They already shot it.
Yeah, it's already there. But in typical pro wrestling terms, I'm going to do a run-in on you right now, because we left off somebody who really, really needs redemption, that we didn't even know he was part of this rematch, but he snuck in, and that's Jared Leto as the Joker.
Oh yeah,
he's doing a run-in right now, because it's just like he got so much blowback for not doing that great of a job, and then he's like, well, most of my stuff was cut out. And then next thing you know, it's just like, well, we're going to move ahead with Joaquin Phoenix, and he's going to do a Joker film, and we're going to make it dark. And yeah, he'll probably win an Oscar, but don't worry about it. You did fine.
Yeah.
And then I was just like, but did he ever really got a shot? And then he kind of moved on. I'm like, okay, fine. I'm Morbius now, whatever. But then.
Did you have issues with his Joker? I thought it was fine.
I just thought it was different, but what could he have done?
Yeah, it was fine.
I mean, you can't follow Heath Ledger's performance with the same exact performance.
I thought and I thought he did the right thing by going in a different direction and making it more of a gangster take. Okay. Yeah. This is Joker, who didn't grow up watching comedy shows, but he was into Scarface.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I think he did a fine job. Like I thought it was fine. This looks even better, because everyone, a lot of the stuff that cut out, when you start getting into the Injustice League, right? That had a lot to do with this version of the Joker, which I guess this is all like Suicide Squad is canon to this version of Justice League. So that had a lot to do with the Joker. So he needed to be a big part of it. And obviously Joaquin Phoenix, that was more of a backstory, a prequel, or another multiverse that you couldn't move that in. So I think this was a really smart move to get him in there, because obviously everybody knows Joker. Now everybody really knows Joker, because that was the most successful DC comic movie ever.
Zack's letting everybody get in on the rematch.
Yeah. So he did bring them in. So we have a run in on that. And I think Joker, the Jared Leto version of the Joker, needs this as well. It's just like,
I agree.
Yeah. So I don't know, like
good point.
Yeah. Lex Luthor, that's TBD. You can jump in. It's just like, you're either going to do something well, or you're going to get tossed out, because I think people were critical of his performance. Joe Montadea, I don't know how to say Montale as, Deathstroke.
Yeah.
He never got a shot. So this is his redemption of just like, because he's rumored to be part of the Batman show with Ben Affleck. So he needs to, I feel like everybody in their own way needs this, except Jason Momoa, but we want him there anyway.
Yeah. He's got to be there.
Right.
He's like the John Cena, just, helping the business.
He's just giving back. So it's going to be great. So I don't know. What do you guys think? Are you as psyched for this tomorrow as we are? We are super psyched. We're going to drink. We're going to have to get some Zoa energy drink. Maybe we can get The Rock to send us some drink. Stay
Yeah.
up and get an energy drink because I don't know if we're going to be up.
Well, this
late
is dropping.
or
This is probably going to drop early in the morning, not tonight, because they don't do those late night drops.
All right.
So get some sleep.
Yeah,
and wake up early.
Yeah, just be responsible. That's all you have to
exactly.
do. Cool. All right, that's it for us. Don't forget, you made it this far, so I got something free for you. Just go ahead and click that like button. Don't forget, it's the holy trinity of YouTube. Like, subscribe, share, and we'll see you down the road.